Hi there, I'm Scott Lowe with ActualTech Media. I'm here today with Sean Masters, who is the Systems Engineer Manager for Zerto. I got that right?
You nailed it.
Awesome. Sean, thanks for having us here today.
Thanks for having me.
So, you guys have a product roadmap.
Oh boy, do we.
Tell us about it.
So, let me tell you about, first, a little where we've come from, right before we talk about where we're going. So, with Zerto Virtual Replication 4.0, we introduced cross-hypervisor replication between VMware vSphere, Microsoft Hyper-V, and then added our first public cloud platform in Amazon Web Services, right? In 4.5, we greatly expanded our API to join kind of the DevOps model that the world's moving to. Mm-hmm. We also greatly extended our journal out from a week to 14 days, and we kept doing that as we move forward to Zerto 5.0, which was really a huge leap forward for us because we actually added another public cloud platform in Microsoft Azure. We again greatly expanded our RESTful API to keep with that motion of the world moving towards DevOps and really getting away from looking at graphical user interfaces. We also really started scaling up the solution. So back in the old days, when I joined in 2.0 and then in 3.0, Zerto could protect hundreds or maybe a low thousand virtual machines. Today, in a single data center, we can handle over 5,000 virtual machines. And at the time we started scaling up, we were already the first product that could do that and really scale over 1,000 per data center. Mm-hmm. And now we've got customers doing 8,000, 10,000, 15,000, cloud service providers doing tens of thousands of virtual machines between data center sets instead of being stuck in this kind of pod mentality of 1,000 systems here and 1,000 systems there. So really talking about how we're enabling disaster recovery, if we start with that before we go to the future, between larger and larger enterprises. Looking forward, we've also added in 5.0 the groundwork for some analytics solutions, right? And said a lot of the world is actually moving toward not just protecting the applications, but tell me when to do a migration. Tell me when to do a disaster recovery event, mm-hmm. or let me know about testing. Maybe tell me what's going on in the environment at all, because one of the great benefits of Zerto is that we touch the entire data center. Right. So we touch the storage, the networks, the servers, the edge devices, and then we're going between two data centers or maybe a public cloud. We see everything. Right. So the ability to say, you know what, something might be going on over here. Maybe you should take an action about that, right? Can't guarantee that that's coming tomorrow, but It's certainly something that we're very closely looking into. So, really following, I think, one of the big current trends in the enterprise space, which is saying, we've got a solution, it does X, but now we want to enable you to do more with that, right? Budgets are shrinking, your agility needs are increasing, risks to your business are increasing. So companies such as Zerto need to provide even greater value to you beyond just disaster recovery and really go back to the first part of our story, which is business continuity. And saying, if you need to move an application from A to B, that's great. What if in the future we can tell you when to move that application or why, because something is going on in this storage array or in this network? So it's definitely something we're digging into. And we actually just earlier this week released the beta for our analytics platform, which is on our My Zerto dashboard, which all of our customers get access to. So you can actually go on there, click the analytics button, and start seeing, we're not doing any insights or predictive anything yet, right? But you can actually start seeing what's going on in your private or hybrid or public Zerto environment, all from a shared services webpage.
So customers that are already using Zerto can actually just log into their portal and see it now. They don't have to pay anything more for it right now.
Right.
That's kind of cool. So VMware, Hyper-V, Amazon, Azure. Are there more platforms coming as well?
What am I allowed to say? Just kidding. So, I think one of the most interesting ways to answer that question would be to say, where is the market going? Right. Zerto is a very extremely market-oriented company. Yeah. We do a lot of analysis, right? We work with a lot of analysts in the ecosystem, and we say, what are enterprise IT groups doing today? Right? What are different governments looking for in their strategy? What are the telecommunications providers looking for in their strategy? And we've got to be able to keep up with all of those, right? While still being on the cutting edge and sometimes even on that bleeding edge and saying, listen, we've got the absolute best product available and we need to be able to work with everything. So there are a number of other platforms which we could potentially wade into, right? There's KVM, OpenStack, there's Zen, There are non-platform solutions like containers, right? Everybody's going on about Docker and other Linux virtual machine stuff that's been out there for a while, but maybe is starting to get its traction in the marketplace today. And really, at the end of the day, our vision with whatever the individual roadmap items may be is to be able to protect an application anytime, anywhere, regardless of the underlying hardware. That was our first message. Now it's really regardless of the underlying platform, which is kind of our new message, the cloud continuity platform, and being able to get your application when it needs to most burst to the cloud or recover to another data center because the first one is suffering some catastrophe.
What are some of the cloud trends you're seeing that the enterprises are facing that they're having to deal with and they're having to assimilate?
Yeah, so in terms of cloud trends, that's a great question because really our Zerto 5.0 product opened us up to being able to satisfy a lot of those market demands. Because what we're really seeing is customers going, you know what, we definitely want to go to the cloud, we need to go to the cloud. Sometimes it's a management directive. Oftentimes that's led by things like budget, wanting to move to OpEx models from CapEx models, for example,
right.
And really only spend on IT what you actually need instead of this decades old mentality of saying, let's buy a bunch of bricks and just use what we can.
And hope we grow into it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And, I used to control an IT budget. We'd buy a bunch of stuff. We'd use what we could.
Yeah.
Then we moved to virtualization to try and get the greater benefit out of that. But there's still this kind of nagging feeling. And as companies start looking at the data, they're saying, wait a minute, we're not using half of this firepower that we have. Right?
It all comes down to depreciation, the way we've done depreciation and our tech refresh. I talk about this all the time. It's like we're wasting money.
Absolutely.
Because we're pre-buying. You wouldn't do this in a manufacturing world. Why are you doing it in IT?
Right.
And there's ways you don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And that really started with our Zerto 5.0 release. So by adding another public cloud option, but more importantly, by adding the ability to fan a single application out to multiple targets, we can say, you've got your existing data center lease and your existing data center resources. You're going to continue protecting, managing your service level agreements and your BCDR plans between your existing footprint. You've also got an 18 to 24 month strategy from management to move to the cloud, whoever the cloud may be.
Right.
Now you can continue protecting that application in your local assets, right, that you've already paid out for and maybe continue paying support for.
Right.
But you can say, you know what, at the same time, we're going to start doing test dev up to a public cloud service on that same application. So now we're not violating any of our existing SLAs back to the business. We're saying fully protected, replicating, have the ability to recover, to test, to do all these other actions on these applications. But we can also clone a copy up into AWS or Azure. Right? We can fork some of that development environment up there. Your application owners can start working in the cloud and really giving you that live feedback instead of saying, oh, we just have to jump in whole hog.
Right, that's right.
Or the alternative is an insane, crazy, huge strategic design to say, okay, great, let's spend 17 of those 18 months figuring out how to get there and then panic for the last 30
That's right,
days.
which is typical.
Absolutely.
Sean, thank you very much.
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
Well, Scott, great having you.